The first way is the most popular one. What you do whenever you come to the beginning of the row where all your yarns meet, you bring all the yarns that you're not going to use in the next row, you bring them to the back. Then you take the strand that's going to be your working yarn for this row and you start knitting. It's very important to take care of the tension on this edge, so it helps a lot to pull the fabric a bit down when you are making your first stitch, just like this. And then after you make your first stitch, stop and readjust the tension, because you don't want to have all the edge kind of jammed up, and making sure that you have enough yarn there helps a lot. And then you continue knitting. So what you get a nice line. I'll show you the wrong side. You get a nice line of yarns, you know, intervened kind of together. It works great for thin stripes, like 2-row stripes in 2 colors. So this section is kind of okay, but it all changes when you have a wider stripe or you have another color added. Then the strands over here, they become loopier, and you should be very careful about the tension, because if your tension, like I said, is not good enough, then you will have it all jammed up, or the opposite of it, you will get it all loose and the stitches will be bigger on the edge than the yarn and the rest of your work. So this is a good way, easy, but I wouldn't make it if this way if I'm using wider stripes or more colors. The second way of carrying yarn up the side solves the tension issue. You don't have to worry about the tension anymore because it creates a nice stretchy edge. How we do it? When you come to the row where you see all your yarns at the same spot, you twist them all 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Why we need 3 twists? To make sure that the yarns that you're not going to use in the next row make a nice wrap around the working yarn, which would be the dark color for me right here. And then you start knitting. Knitting or purling, just use the stitch pattern you have in mind, just like this. And you don't have to worry about the tension after you make your first stitch, because this wrap that we made by twists, it gives enough give so that the edge is quite stretchy and sitting nicely. There are 2 main issues with this type of carrying up yarn. The first issue is those wraps, they create kind of bumps, and if you use more yarn, more than 2 yarns, then the bumps get bigger. If you plan to use this to stitch the fabric and the edge will be hidden within the seam, then it's not really a big deal. So it's totally up to you, just the look of it. But there is a big issue of twisting yarns, because we are twisting them, right, 3 times every other row. That means that your yarn balls will be twisted a lot, and you would need to stop your knitting once in a while to untwist them. So keep an eye on your balls of yarn, and otherwise it's a nice way to carry yarn up. But let's see what the third one looks like. The third one is quite simple. What you do when you come to that row when all yarns meet, you simply knit the first stitch with all 3 strands, or how many colors you have, all strands of yarn, and that's it. Then you find the strand that's going to be your working yarn for the next row and start working with that strand, just like this. It's very important to treat this stitch, the bulky one, the big one, to treat it as one, because when you come to the wrong side row and you purl or work till the end of the row, just remember that. Remember, this is one stitch. Don't start purling every strand, because then you would increase the number of stitches in your work, and that's not exactly what we need, right? How it looks pretty nice. It creates a nice, slightly bulky edge, so I wouldn't use this way if you're working with more than 3 yarns, because then the bulk would be just too much. But otherwise, it's a nice, quite stretchy edge. You don't have loose strands hanging there. It's all kind of more or less tidy. So it's a nice way, but it's just number 3. Let's see what the number 4 is like. You know how they say that if you can't fix a mistake, just make it part of the design? So this way is all about this. If we can't hide the extra yarn while we carry it up, let's make it part of the fabric. So we're gonna knit every first stitch and purl every last stitch with the contrasting yarn, the one that we plan to carry up. Let's say for the next row, my working yarn, my main yarn would be the dark one, and the orange would be the yarn that I want to carry up. So what I'm gonna do, when I come to the beginning of the row, I would twist these 2 yarns, then pick the orange yarn and knit the first stitch with it. Then I pick the twisting the yarns again, I pick the darker yarn, the burgundy, and knit with it till the end of the row. Then turn your work and purl all stitches. Well, work, right? In my case it's purling, but you can work in any stitch pattern that you use for your project. So I'm gonna be purling till I come to the last stitch. And here we are, the last stitch. Twist the yarns again and purl the last stitch with the orange yarn. You should be very careful and make sure you twist yarns every time you change the color. Basically, you're working in intarsia pretty much, and it's very important because otherwise you would have 2 separate sections. You would have a little kind of strand of made from one stitch, and then you would have the rest of the fabric. To avoid that, you need to twist yarns every time you change the color, and that's what you've got. So you've got the main color over here, and the color that we're carrying up is just 1 stitch that creates a nice edging. This way, I would call it an haute couture way, because it's so elaborate, it's nice looking, not probably good for all cases. You cannot, it's hard to use it for more than 2 yarns, 2 colors. Otherwise, it's quite a lovely way to carry up yarns, and it's definitely worth a try. But we have one more way left. Let's take a look at that. This way is somewhat similar to the way number 3, remember when we knit the first stitch with all strands, but in this case we're gonna wrap all strands around the first stitch. It helps a lot to plan a selvage for that, but if you don't have a selvage, you would have to sacrifice your first stitch, because it's not gonna look nice really, because it's gonna be all wrapped like you see these stitches over here. So what do you do when you come to that row, the every other row when all yarns meet? You place all strands on your left index finger, then you slip the first stitch to the right needle like this, then you move all strands on top of the left needle like this, and return the slipped stitch back, and then wrap the yarns around this first stitch. If you're working with 2 yarns, two colors, then you can knit the first stitch. If you're working with more than 2 colors, I suggest you slip the first stitch to give more room to all those wraps, because it's getting bulky, right? And now we pick the yarn which would be the next color. That would be the camel for me. And like I said, I'm working with 3 yarns, so I'm gonna slip the stitch and then knit the rest of the row. If you have just 2 colors, so basically you are wrapping 1 strand around the first stitch, then you can knit it because it doesn't require a lot of room. But for more than one extra yarn, I suggest you slip it. And you can use this way for as many as 5 colors, and I used it many times when I worked with color patterns, and it works great. The edge is not particularly nice, but it's okay, you know, it's not really too bulky. It looks nice on both sides. It doesn't have those strands hanging, and it's quite stretchy, so it's good. Now that you know how to carry yarn up the side of your work, go ahead and make something colorful. Thank you for watching this video and stay tuned.